Browns practicing here at Cleveland Browns Stadium behind us today, and the news of the day, Mary Kay, is Deshaun Watson is among the team captains. Now, look, your quarterback should be a captain, but last year was wonky. They couldn't make Deshaun Watson their captain. He is this year, so certainly a big step forward for Deshaun.
Yeah, the important thing to note here is the fact that your teammates vote on these captains. So after last season when he served his 11-game suspension, he's back for the full season. He's spent most of this offseason hosting his teammates in Puerto Rico, in Houston, in Miami, trying to get everyone together, and I really think he has established himself as the leader they need him to be.
And Ashley, again, just, after everything last year when it just felt weird with Deshaun, he had to go away for 11 games. And, we've talked all offseason. This feels like Deshaun's team again, and this is just another step in that direction.
Yeah, I think this is just another example of taking that next step, right? And you have him out there with guys like Joel Bitonio, Myles Garrett, Anthony Walker Jr., and Charlie Hewlett, who is the second longest tenured member of the Browns.
I think so. Joel and then Charlie.
Yeah, behind Joel Bitonio. So you have those guys have kind of been the leadership voices of this team, but I think if you're going to have a successful team in the NFL, one of those guys has to be your quarterback. So I think this is a natural step for them to take.
Now, some good news, Jerome Ford is back on the field, and while no one's really coming out and saying it, Mary Kay, it seems like things are full go-ahead for him to be the number 2 running back on September 10th when the Browns play the Bengals right here. So that's big news because that running back room is awfully thin, and they need to see what Jerome Ford can do.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing for the Browns and for Jerome is the fact that he's been out since August 7th with a hamstring injury, and he's got to be able to get in there, catch some passes, pick up the blitz, and do all the things that you're expected to do when you're basically that third down back. In addition to that, he's their kickoff returner, so they need him to be on point. If he's not, they also now have Pierre Strong Jr. to help fill in.
Yeah, I think the kick return element of this is really interesting, Ashley. Kevin, the other day he had a comment where it made it sound like Jerome Ford was the kick returner. Today he was a little more Kevin-esque, like non-committal to it. But I do think Jerome Ford is probably still going to be the kick returner.
Yeah, it's like he did really well with that last year, that as long as I think that hamstring holds up and he can stay healthy, it's like, why not throw him in that role? Because again, even though he's the number 2 back this year, it still is like, really, how many carries is he going to get with Nick Chubb, plus the design run plays they're going to run for Deshaun Watson, plus the fact that they decide to use Elijah Moore like a running back sometimes. I think all of those things kind of factor in, so if you can get him reps on special teams, that's great for the team. It's great for Jerome too, I think.
Another player back to Alex Wright. He was back on the practice field, and that's important because they need as much edge rushing depth as they can get. Alex didn't have a great year last year, but third-round pick, small school guy, you're hoping for a big jump in year 2.
Yeah, good to see him back. Both he and Isaiah Thomas underwent knee scopes on August 8th, and both of them are kind of getting back into the swing of things. Alex practiced today, and Isaiah was out there off to the side working out, and those guys, the sight of them back should help that edge rotation.
And Ashley, if I had to pick some spots where maybe the depth is a little concerning, I would say edge. So the more bodies you have available, the better.
Yeah, I think so too. We talked about this a lot when we were trying to project the 53-man roster, and I think I said I would expect Jim Schwartz to have like 10 defensive linemen that he can kind of rotate in at will. It certainly helps that they get a guy like Mo Hurst back today, who's a good interior rusher. Of course, they can move Zadarius Smith to rush from the inside, but I definitely think depth at edge rusher is going to be key because he wants to rotate those guys in and out to keep them fresh.
Okay, it is windy out here, so apologies if some of the audio is a little rough there, but windy down here at the stadium. We understand now what Cade York was dealing with and what Dustin Hopkins is going to have to deal with when he kicks in these conditions. We'll have full coverage of the practice here at Cleveland Browns Stadium, as well as everything that happens before their next practice on Labor Day, Monday, at cleveland.com/Browns.